racers around the world refer to it as the mountain. There's certainly no shortage of racetracks with elevation change, no shortage of racetracks with close quarters racing and big commitments, but to have every harrowing feature on one circuit, that's Mount Panorama. Welcome to Bathurst, Australia, a township playing host to visitors from Washington, D.C. region's SCCA. Tonight, there's no points on the line, just some sheet metal and carbon, and maybe some bragging rights. Hi everybody, Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna for the fifth round of the 2023 D.C. Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. Finian, no points on the line tonight. This means we're racing some fun cars, GT4s, around Bathurst Mount Panorama.
Yeah, I can't wait to get to see these guys get underway here. This is one of the trickiest, hardest tracks to race around in the world due to just the mountain section, going up and down the mountain. One of the most terrifying pieces of driving you'll find in the iRacing service, and these guys are taking it here in GT4 machinery. And it's nice too, because I think for the first time in a long while we have all 5 manufacturers represented by drivers here on the track.
See, this racetrack constructed back in 1938. It's mostly constructed of public roads, but the Australian Grand Prix was held here 4 times in the mid-20th century. This track has lots of history. It goes back nearly a century. Time to head down to the racetrack now and get qualifying underway. This is a short race tonight. We're used to running 3 sprint races this season. For the points championship tonight, though, just a single 20-minute race. Finian, it's going to be a fast night of action, so buckle up, and here we go, because it's going to be a wild one. And you mentioned the diversity in the manufacturers. There they on the left-hand side of the screen. Porsche, Mercedes-AMG, Aston Martin, McLaren, and BMW, all represented here in the field with a variety of different cars, sounds, and drivetrains. There's the 268 of Anthony Montello and a gorgeous-looking Lazy Rocket livery on this car. The British Racing green and some silver to boot as he heads up the straightaway towards Quarry Bend.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with red on a Ferrari, and you can't go wrong with British Racing green on an Aston Martin. It just looks absolutely right to see him flying down the straightaway, heading towards turn number 2 up through the treacherous mountain section.
Into the Quarry Bend here for his run up the hill. He's having a little bit of discontinuity problems as he heads up the hill. Let's jump on board with somebody else. There's Todd Rushing in the number 2. He's also in an Aston Martin Vantage AMR. DJ Alessandrini's here. This is the McLaren. Now, DJ said earlier in the week that this car was really struggling on curbing in particular, and that's bad news because there's a lot of curbing around here at Bathurst, and it's all horrible to drive on in any car, but especially so in this McLaren. Nice livery on this car, though, too.
Yeah, I mean, because the curves you can see right there, so you can see it even as the car goes up on it, it's so violent, the adjustment, it just throws the suspension off and the handling, because on a lot of these corners, you're literally flying through this section of racetrack, so you clip a corner, it's going to send the car flying into the other wall, and as you can see, not a whole lot of distance between those walls.
Certainly not. Heading up through Solomon Park now. You hear the car approaching over the crest, and here it comes. And carrying so much speed through here. And then it gets into the fun part, heading into Skyline here, over 120 miles an hour. And then you drop off the face of the mountain here, Finian. Watch this.
And you go through the S's left, right, and these corners come up on you so quickly, and it's such a rhythm section here. If you make one mistake, you're going to go flying off into the walls.
And down into Forest Elbow. This is, in particular, a challenging corner to get right to build your exit onto the Conrad Straight and then down towards the Chase. It's just such a fun straightaway here. Big slipstreams, big drafting here, Finian, all to get straightaway speed to have a run into the Chase.
It's a long run down here, and you're going to see a lot of guys using the slipstream as much as they can here to then make a move as you go up into the curve, and then flying head on to the Chase. You see these guys are going to go flying full speed here, and then down deep on the brakes, a lot of passes, and potentially a lot of wrecks going to happen through this corner.
They use the ABS plenty in the McLaren as well as the other cars, and Alessandrini still working his way around. Ken House-Seal is on provisional pole in a Porsche. Now this car in particular, I've heard, is not particularly well suited to the long straightaways here and has struggled a little bit, but Ken takes it right to the top. Darian Taggart goes second quick, and he is in an Aston Martin. Christopher Lapras runs third, and he's in a Mercedes-AMG. I love the diversity we're seeing finally here in the GT4 category in iRacing.
Yeah, and it's surprising to see Ken up there because in practice he was only, I think, 6th fastest, and he was beat by pretty much all the other 3 manufacturers minus the BMW. So it's interesting to see him, take it up to those guys, putting a really good lap here in qualifying at the moment. Still got some time though. Notably, DJ Alessandrini is still yet to complete his first lap.
Wonder if he maybe had a little bit of contact with a wall somewhere and invalidated a lap, because we saw him. Oh no, he is on just lap number 1, so he was coming to the green last time by. Ryan Dahner's in a Porsche as well. He has yet to put down a lap. Peter Zhang in a Mercedes AMG. And again, here's a quick look again at the manufacturers, and look at the splits there. The first McLaren is down at 8th. I thought that'd be the car to beat tonight.
Well, DJ still had to qualify, and he was the fastest driver by a long shot in practice. In practice, he was 9/10 of a second up on Christopher Lapras, so you expect DJ to put a really good time there, unless he was doing some sort of wizardry to get his time so low. We'll see how it ends up, especially as he is more of the McLaren start to come towards the line.
Kevin Zhu working his way down the Conrad Straight as well. Kyle Herbst, what's he in? He's in the Aston Martin Vantage AMR GT4. Love the sound of this car. Real tight against the wall. Now heading into Solman Park, right up against the wall. What a shot that is. Inches from the concrete barriers, and they are concrete, and they will hurt if you get up against them.
Flying down here through the S's, basically you have to throw the car into the corner and just kind of hope it sticks and hope that you guess right. And the amount of speed and the amount of wheeling you need to put into it, especially the dipper right here. Car literally landing on the racetrack.
James Cathers to provisional pole and gets bested by Christopher Lapras. Cathers in an Aston Martin. Henao Seal now down 3rd in the Porsche. Jason Meinhardt is a new name, and he is in, I think, the only BMW M4 in the field, Finney. Now, this is a car that has struggled in iRacing, and while we do have some diversity, this is not very well represented here. In the real world, it was a pretty stout car to have, especially at some of the bigger tracks like this one, but here today, it's going to be underrepresented, I think, as Alessandrini to the top.
Yeah, but that's what we're kind of expecting to see. And by, again, 0.8 of a second over Christopher Lapras, almost the same split, almost the same time in practice. Both of them off by 1/10 on their fastest lap in practice. So DJ really solid showing, especially for the McLaren. And just to look at your top 5, it is McLaren, Mercedes, Aston Martin, Porsche, Aston Martin. Pretty much as much diversity as you can ask for, again, except for the BMW.
There's Jack Chrissy. He's on his fast lap right now, headed through the chase. Murphy Nichols up to 10th place in the number 26. Here comes Chrissy into the final corner here. Love getting to see some GT machinery here. I know we race a lot of touring cars and front-wheel drive and low-powered cars in the SCCA, but of course we also in the SCCA run some bigger cars now and then, maybe not necessarily GT4 spec, but Jack Chrissy up to 3rd in the Mercedes AMG.
I honestly think GT4 is a great, speed. Like the category fits in a nice zone. It's slow enough where you can get some really good racing, but also not too slow enough where it's overly dependent on the slipstream and on the draft, like a lot of cars that are slower. As you see Bob Schumacher in the McLaren coming flying on through the number 28 machine. Where will he end up? Will he be closer to his brethren in the McLaren? DJ Alessandrini, no, only 21st.
Alice Sadiq's on track in a Mercedes. Looks oddly like I think that was, who was that had the Aston with the Advan livery we were just looking at? Name escapes me.
I will try to find it. Was it Lapras?
No, it was, name is escaping me right now. Man, we were just watching him.
And I'll find it. I'll click through rapidly through the field. I'll find it.
Kyle Herbst? Kyle Herbst, I think.
Nope. He's in an Aston.
Dang it. Well, he's in an Aston, yes, but... Man, Todd Rushing? No, he's in an Aston. Also.
Maybe it was Kyle Herbst.
It is Kyle Herbst. I knew it.
He has a different livery on my screen.
Oh,
for some reason.
Good to know.
So that's why I didn't think it was him.
Ala Sadiq in the number 30. He heads down the Conrad straight into the chase and just carrying so much speed there, well north of 160 miles an hour, which is pretty much terminal velocity in a GT4. Get a little bit more in the slipstream, but not a whole lot. Coming with a big run out of Forest Elbow.
And then back on the binders here for the final corner. Hits the apex just right. A little bit of oversteer corrects, and he comes flying across the line.
218.
Will be any good, though.
360. It's not going to count.
24th. No, yeah.
Kyle Herbst has one more shot at it here. Up the hill he goes.
Murphy Nichols up into 8th place in the 26 machine. He's done for his qualifying effort, as is most of the top 10.
Getting acquainted with all these new camera angles here at Mount Panorama. There's lots of them to choose from. So much of this is just so close.
Yeah, it's funny because a track like this would, if it was created today, would not fly by any sort of regulation.
I'm surprised it flies as it does today in some respects, but every year hosts the 12 Hours of Bathurst with GT3 machinery, and then the Bathurst 1000 with V8 supercar, or I guess just now just supercar machinery.
Playing supercars.
Playing supercars. They're all still V8s though, aren't they?
Yeah,
For
still
now.
V8s, and it's going to be the Chevy Camaro and the Ford Mustang competing against each other starting this year, actually, because they just got their new cars.
Gen 3 supercars, those things look really awesome. Here's
Especially
Herbst.
the Ford.
Oh man, the Ford is very pretty. Herbst into the chase. 157 going down on the brakes. And down to about 69 miles an hour at the apex there. So that's the difference in speed. 100-mile-an-hour braking zone.
Whew. Comes sliding out of, or sorry, not sliding out. Now he's gonna. I was looking at the replay for a second. I thought he was coming sliding out of the final corner. He's not going to slide out of the final corner this time through.
Checkered flag for Kyle Herbst. Is it going to be a valid lap? It will. It'll launch him up to 13th place. The 2:15.427. Al Sadiq looking to complete his second lap and get a time up on the board. This time, hopefully for real. Easy to hit a wall, especially leaving Forest Elbow. It's really easy just to glance the wall there and invalidate your time. And a 2:16.698 is only good enough for 23rd for the number 30.
Jack Kersey coming to the line to complete his final and third lap, and he's looking like he might be close enough. He's got just not even a 10th behind Christopher Lapras for second place. It's really the main thing he's going to be trying to fight for. I don't think he got the run he needed out of the final corner.
He did, 2:13.984, and it will put him into second place. So good run there. Darian Taggart, look at that. Hold on. We have to watch what Darian Taggart just did. Did you just see that coming down the hill?
I think so. I think got the end of it.
Here we go, coming down the hill here. Watch as he heads into the Dipper. Now, the Dipper known for doing exactly the thing that it sounds like it does, and that's suspending your car airborne. Watch the left front tire here as he turns in. Taggart throwing it down the hill, completely off the ground, and then big compression as he heads down the rest of the mountain. It is a wild lap here as Taggart over the crest at 145.
Yeah, that corner will definitely mess up your suspension over the course of a long race. Fortunately, we only have 20 minutes of racing here for these guys, coming flying to the chase deep on the brakes.
Big curb hop there. That's something you kind of want to avoid here. You can get up on them on exit just a little bit, but on apex they're so big and they don't really offer you much in rotation. It's more just letting you take off as you exit the corner. And Taggart across the line again, not laying down times. Let's quickly glance again at your manufacturer diversity there. McLaren on pole, then two Mercedes AMGs, an Aston Martin and a Porsche, your top five. The BMW, the lone one, Meinhardt's driving down in 20. Oh, there's two. There's Greenfield in one as well. So Greenfield and Meinhardt 22nd and 26th, respectively. Ryan Carwile up to 15th place. Looks like there's only one driver on track. That's Kyle Herbst.
And he just finished his qualifying effort. Looking to see, and he does improve up to 9th place.
All right, so qualifying is complete, and on the left-hand side of your screen is your starting lineup, and we'll go through the rest of it here in just a moment when we take the green. But only a 20-minute race. We qualified for 15, Finn, and we're going to race for 20. So it's not going to be that long, and that means that you have to be aggressive. But what you can't do is get yourself involved in a crash, especially if you're basically anywhere from 5th on back. You have to be cautious as you head into the uphill for the first lap, because if the track gets blocked, there's nowhere for you to escape or hide.
Yeah, absolutely. And then again, considering we're not going to have yellow flags, you're going to have to not only try to make your way through the wreck, also try to make your way through the wreck in an efficient amount of time. Now, obviously, you don't do what you typically see with GT3 racing here in iRacing. You just go full throttle through the wreck. You're going to try to be a little bit careful. But like you said, you might not have even a choice if the track is blocked, which is very easy to do.
So heading down to the racetrack now, and down from above, let's have a look here at the weather. And it's going to be a little bit greasy out there. 108 degrees Fahrenheit on the racetrack, 77 in the air, Finian. Time to roll through our starting lineup, though, and get things rolling. On pole, it's going to be DJ Alessandrini and his McLaren 570S. Jack Christie starts on the outside of the front row.
Moving on in behind them, it's going to be Christopher Lapras in the Mercedes. Next to him, Aston Martin of James Cathers in the 129.
Row 3, it's Ken Steele, the number 23. Darian Taggart starts 6th in the number 95.
Moving on back, Holland Dana is going to be starting in the 77 car with Murphy Nicholson 26th in 8th place.
9th place is going to be Kyle Herbst in the number 89. Mike Leader starts 10th in the 53.
Dale Washington is going to be lined up in the 2 machine in 11th place with Anthony Montello in the 268 in 12th.
13th place is going to be Matthew Morehart in the number 27. Ido Waxman starts 14th in the number 5.
Row number 8, you find Ryan Carwell on the inside in the 18 car. Next to him, Kevin Zhu in the 243 and 16th.
17th place is Peter Zhang in the number 14. Chris Harp starts 18th in the 462.
Louis Alessi is going to be lined up in the 43 in 19th, and rounding out your top 20, Adam Kovac in the 85.
Then it's going to be Francois Brou and Jason Meinhardt sharing row number 11.
Back in behind them, 23rd, Tala Sadiq in the 30 with Richard Sawicki in the 528 in 24th.
25th place is Ed Harris. 26th is Deacon Greenfield in one of the 2 BMWs.
Bob Shoemaker is going to be in the 28 and 27th with Albert, how do you say that?
Roll no.
No? Okay, we're going to roll with that, the 181.
All right, behind them it's Pax Rolfe in the number 8 and Francis Castillo Romero in the 96. Starting in 30th, Giancarlo Schooler, Marcus Pine, Jermaine Major, and Ryan Daner wrapping up the rest of your field. Folks, if you would like to follow along with live timing and scoring, you can do so at simtvbroadcasting.com. Field packed up, paired up, 17 rows deep. Finally time to kick off the green flag here. It'll be 20 minutes, 9 laps worth of racing. What is going on with my frame rates right now?
Yeah, it is. I was going to say, it is not like in the 34 GT4 cars we have lined up.
That is particularly poor, and I'm trying to figure out why that would be the case. See what else is running in the background. Don't see anything that should be of note, so we'll just roll with it the best we can. Cars roll out of the final corner here at Bathurst Mountain Panorama. And here we go. Green flag racing at Bathurst.
Oh, and an immediate spin from the 29 Christopher Lapras getting sent around.
And Lapras is going to drop to the tail of the field just like that. Out front, it's Alessandrini leading the way. Jack Chrissy, James Cathers, and more popping into the group. And more trouble in the background. This is going to be a big crash. Everybody's in it.
Oh, Lord. And only halfway down to turn number 2, a huge wreck.
All right, so heading up the mountain for the first time. It's going to take out a whole lot of drivers. In a 20-minute race, it's already over for them. There's got to be some kind of glitch going on or something with the frame rate. That is, I've never had it go that bad even with a field of 50 GT3s, so something is up. But regardless, we'll work through it. 19 minutes to go as they head up the hill for the first time into Solman Park and carrying a huge head of steam.
DJ leading through Jack Chrissy, Cathers, Taggart, Nichols, your top 5. And almost all of the 5 manufacturers in there, the Porsches have not fared too good in the initial start, with quite a few of them dropping down the order, notably Ken Steele dropping back to 14th.
And then into the downhill now. Anthony Montello running in 7th. Everyone just getting single file. That's the big thing on this opening lap, is just getting single file. As Montello, you mentioned it.
Yeah, getting close to the back of Kyle Hurst, as Hurst made a mistake through the dipper. Was trying to make advantage. Can't quite go side by side through the mountain section. You can.
Trouble behind him. Todd Rushing at the exit of Forest Elbow, and it's going to grab a couple other drivers. Ido Waxman. And Waxman made contact with the 2 that sent him around. Man, some more trouble. That's Adam Kovac involved in that one, as Cathers and Taggart fight for third down here into the chase for the first time. Whoa. Cathers had a slowdown, or he just slipped?
Nope, he just went off the track. Went a little bit too fast through the chase. Caught some grass on exit. And a very chaotic lap 1 has finally come to an end with quite a few guys. I got to say, we lost almost 10 drivers. A little bit more messy of a lap 1 than I would have thought.
Yeah, Ken Steele on the inside in the Porsche, defending from Louis Alessi. And Mike Leader behind him in the Mercedes AMG, and then the Aston Martin Vantage AMR GT4. Is that Chris Harp lingering? Indeed it is, as he chases those 2. And a great run here at the exit of Hell Corner on the run up towards Quarry Bend.
Has a great run trying to get some slipstream off of Louis Alessi and the other Mercedes just ahead of him. Drafting down the straightaway, he's just going to get past Leader. Leader has the chance, actually, he's now in the slipstream to maybe make a pass on back on the outside. Could be a little bit risky. He's going to be a little more patient and back off.
For the lead, though, Jack Chrissy is tracking down DJ Alessandrini. McLaren versus Mercedes at the front of the field.
Yeah, and it seems like Chrissy's not been able to get the slipstream. You know, you think of a big, muscular Mercedes, you know, usually able to power on through, but that McLaren has been pretty good in a straight line, especially in DJ's hands.
Up into Skyline. What a pretty section of racetrack. Too bad you can't enjoy it when you're driving through it at over 100 miles an hour and then dropping off the face of the cliff. Murphy Nichols has had a problem at the top of the hill, and he has had a stoppage, and looks like he just got into the wall, then smashed into the opposite fence. You see the front bumper coming off, and as quick as it started, it's over for Nichols.
Yeah, and just caught that curb. Remember, we talked about staying away from the curb. The car is on so much load, just a little bit of curb will upset the balance in the car and send you around. And for Murphy Nichols, it's going to end his night.
Alessandrini and Chrissy still chasing each other, 6/10 apart. Big gain there for Alessandrini on the straights.
And Chrissy admitting on the straightaway to DJ, saying, "Yeah, I got nothing. Bye." He's not even catching him a whole lot on the straightaway.
But then watch the gain here, though, in the next half of the lap. Well, a little bit of a push there through the chase, but Jack was able to run him down in the first half of the lap, and then lost basically all of that from Forest Elbow down to the chase.
Yeah, you can see you got another straightaway coming up here from turns 1 to 2.
Background, Darian Taggart and James Cathers lingering, battling for third place.
So a much bigger battle. Peter Zhang, Kevin Zhu can now seal three-way battle for 8th place.
Zhang in that number 14, that's that teal, white, and black Mercedes AMG. Then it's Zhu in the McLaren, and Hausil in the Porsche. And sticking with it in the Porsche 718 Cayman. What a great race car it is, but he's the first one running in 10th.
Yeah, looking at Peter Zhang's Mercedes AMG, and yeah, has a dent to the front and the back of that car, so he's already got some damage pretty early on. You see Ken Hausil move and make the pass on Kevin. Maybe side by side heading to turn 2 here.
Cayman's a lot narrower than the McLaren, and at a track like this, maybe being a little narrower is a good thing, as Zhu tracks out wide, and Louis Alessi's going to smell the blood in the water here and maybe have a look up the hill.
It's got to be tough. You have to be really, pretty much alongside before you head to the corner. You don't want to really make a dive last second. You can easily get yourself on a wreck like that.
There was Anthony Montello. Ryan Carwile is up next to, then a whole group of cars very close is Zhu to the wall.
You can see how much all these drivers are flirting with the walls. On entry, on exit, on the apex. Walls everywhere. Pretty much feels like a street course up through here.
It basically is a street course. I mean, if you want to consider it like that, it's public roads most of the year. And only a couple times is it in full circuit configuration. On board now with Mike Leader chasing Louis Alessi down the hill and into Forest Elbow and setting up this exit. It's so hard to do. You want to have a good run here, but every way you take it, it feels like you could just sacrifice a little bit more on entry, but you just can't. And so Mike will have to run Louis down here in the slipstream, and he's doing a good job of it here.
Yeah, it feels like a 90-degree corner, but it's a much tighter corner than that, and a lot of people underestimate that. But here you see the 53 leader getting a good run alongside the Mercedes AMG, heading towards the chase here through the right-hand bend. The 53 is going to narrowly go ahead, and Alessi's going to yield.
And up for the lead again. Chrissy was able to actually keep in touch with Alessandrini the last time around, and he's still within 0.2 of a second. Mike Leader drops another spot to Chris Hart at the exit of the chase, so he slipped up there. But these two, I just don't think we're done here quite yet.
You can see the number 6 staying in the shadow of that McLaren, trying to get any sort of slips from he can, but he's not getting as much as you would like. Or as much as he would need, I should say, too. He's going to have to get a lot closer to DJ, or if anything, just get a better run than him out of these corners onto these long straightaways.
But watch the torque up in the uphill. That's where Chrissy's gaining. The problem is if you're better in the uphill, it's pretty hard to pass. Better in the downhill, you can set yourself up, but Chrissy gains so much here and then loses it all later. So if he can put DJ offline, he'll be in a great spot. But this is a challenging area to be quicker than your competitor.
Staying into patiently waiting. Almost caught the wall there. I think he realistically should have lost the mirror.
He's losing some ground because of that. Now Louis Alessi, by the way, has had a problem. He's going to drop down a little bit.
And turn number 2.
kind of steps out from underneath him. A slow, lazy spin into the wall.
Oh man, I was just watching Peter Zhang and Kevin Zhu just took a really solid hit just before heading through Skyline into one of the walls.
And you just have to flow this section. This is something that is so rhythmic that if you get it a little bit wrong at the top of the mountain, it will punish you all the way down. And don't even think about hitting a wall hard enough to break something, because you're just going to turn into a ping pong ball weighing 3,000 pounds back and forth between concrete. It's not a fun time to hit anything on the uphill or the downhill, but the downhill especially with that gravitational assist, it just makes your day that much worse, that much quicker.
I'm sure Chrissy wish he had a little bit more gravitational assist, because he's still struggling to catch Allison Durini on these straightaways. He's just not getting what he needs, and as you mentioned, it actually seems like he's better up on the uphill. Downhill doesn't seem like he's as quick, or he's able to stay as close on board with Kevin Zhu, currently in 10th place chasing down Peter Zhang.
Oh, Zhang's way off. That wasn't even close. Big miss for Zhang that time down into the chase. And might have just been looking in the mirror, waiting and anticipating that McLaren to close up the ground, and just misses his braking point, and it just straight off.
He's actually got to take it to the pits, and I think it has to do with that right-hand damage that he smacked the wall in the uphill section, so I think he has to repair it with meatball.
So about halfway through this race already, Alessandrini still leads, and there's big damage ahead of him and lap traffic to consider. And now Jack Chrissy may be licking his lips, because here comes an opportunity.
Yeah, that was Richard Sawicki hard with the wall. He actually got the nose off this car, which honestly, considering the changes they made to the new damage model, kind of hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, they've sort of fixed that, but it still takes a lot to rip that front bumper off.
Ooh, leaders in lap traffic.
Yeah, that's what I was just mentioning. And how do you dispose of lap traffic, especially if they don't give it to you? This is a bad spot to catch them.
I guess the Shoemaker, the best decision for him would just peel off to the side and whoa, or get in the grass. He's going to spin right in front of the leaders.
Oh, DJ on the brakes. Panic braking there, and Jack Chrissy, what can he do? There's nowhere for him to go.
Yeah, well, that caused DJ to slow up a little bit, so now we might be able to catch back on as DJ's trying to get back into his rhythm.
Well, again, the downhill is where Chrissy was struggling, so maybe this will leave him closer to DJ, but is it the turn through Forest Elbow where DJ's gaining a lot of that ground? No.
Oh, this is the closest they've been.
Look at that McLaren accelerate, though. It just drives away. I think the Mercedes has a torque advantage going uphill, but it seems like the McLaren downhill is able to be a little bit more nimble. But here's the gain for Chrissy now as they come up over towards
trying to get the slipstream.
Chase.
Heading towards the chase. Through the right-hander now into the chase. There's Chrissy going to peel to the left-hand side. Not close enough. He's going to peel back in behind DJ.
Oh, he's so close. He can taste it.
He's itching. He's itching to make a pass, but he can't just dive in there.
And he's not necessarily going to get more lap traffic to assist him. That might have just been a one-time deal here in such a short race. Gave up a lot of time for braking in that last corner.
Yeah, I'm sure if this was a longer race, an hour or 2 hours, lap traffic would have been a big help to hold up DJ in the mountain, and then he could try to get a little bit closer to catch him in the slipstream. I don't know. It's really the place is the issue for him. Is the places you typically make passes around here. That McLaren is really strong.
Well, I can tell you what chassis seems to be the most stable, judging by how many more we see in the top 10 now than we did at the start of the race, and that is that Aston Martin Vantage. And the highest running one is Darian Taggart running in third place. He's about 3.5 seconds back, maybe hoping that those front two get into a little bit more trouble.
I'm sure he's hoping for that, because at the moment, in the middle of no man's land for the moment, but over 3 seconds behind and just about 3 seconds up on fourth.
Chrissy's still about 3/10 back. Oh, he might have touched the wall there at the top of the hill, but carries some good speed now. And again, it's just all about flowing momentum on the downhill portion, but you see how much DJ gains, and some of this might be confidence related as well.
Well, I think it's definitely confidence related. You need to have a lot of confidence in your driving ability and in the car that you're driving in order to kind of make these moves up and down, away from the walls, on the curbs.
Here's Kevin Zhu and Mike Leader. This is for 9th. 2/10 separate these drivers.
Yeah, Leader trying to catch up. Zhu trying to drive away in that McLaren, who did not get a good run through the S's. That break quite a bit.
Good run there. Again, McLaren seems to really be suited well to that downhill, as I mentioned with DJ. But again, Jack Chrissy reels DJ back into about a tenth of a second. But then what do? He doesn't have the brakes to outdo him into the chase. And that's really your primary passing opportunity here at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, we're running out of time here as well. You can see on the clock when they come across the line, about 6.5 minutes. Going to be pretty much 3 laps to go for these guys.
And Chrissy's best lap is 0.2 better than DJ, I think in part because of that slipstream. But it's going to be really tough, and it's going to require maybe a mistake out of DJ, which we've only seen a couple times this season. So don't be waiting for that to happen. You're going to have to push the issue a little bit more. Back to leader and Zoo. Looks like Mike has gotten around Kevin, and maybe Kevin's not done.
He's definitely going to try to maybe pounce back on the 53. And pass was made on Conrad Straight last time through. And you can see that 53 starting to drive off, actually.
And Chrissy is just better in the worst spot. At least he has some advantage to work with, but not in the right area.
Yeah, he is so close every single time, but just not quite there, not quite close enough to make that move. It's so close and so far for him in the 6. Ooh, did not get a good run through that section there. Almost hit the wall, had to back off.
I think you know what my performance issue was? Notepad.
Oh, that's...
I kid you not, that's what it was. I had Notepad open, I just closed it, and now it seems like it's running smooth as butter. So,
oh, well, I mean, we all know that Notepad uses up 20%
yeah,
of your
what was up with that?
capability.
Using all my CPU Notepad of all things? Oh my goodness. There's always something. Wish I figured it out earlier, though. 5 minutes to go. That's going to be 2 laps at the line. And Chrissy's half a second back.
Yeah, I just don't know what he can do. As he runs, he pretty much does. I think at this point just has to hope that DJ makes a mistake. And we all know how rare that is.
Pretty rare. But he could be forced into one, and he's not usually being hounded this much.
Oh, he actually
by
just made a
Chrissy.
mistake right there.
And here
Chase.
Oh, Chrissy's all over him now. He's got a huge advantage coming out here, but just up through the gears that McLaren just goes. And then back down. Chrissy is better in some places. He just hasn't been able to pounce on it.
No, he hasn't. You see that right out of the corner that McLaren just breaks away a little bit, and then finally the Mercedes catches back up by the end of the straightaway with some slipstream, but not enough to make a move. There is some lap traffic up ahead of these guys. That is Bob Shoemaker again.
And TJ already flashing the headlights.
Move, get out of the way.
Big bump there on the straightaway. You saw the cars kind of hustle over it. That's something that the AMG will have an advantage over the McLaren is how it soaks up bumps.
I'm curious to see where they catch Bob, because that can be a big factor depending on where they catch him. They catch him up through Skyline again. Oh, of course he got really close to the back bumper there. And how much is Chrissy going to be willing to send it, right? Because this is a non-points race. This is just a fun race, so...
Might as well.
Try to be a little bit more cheeky with DJ?
I mean, he has to race with DJ with frequency in the GR86 side of things. He's in the wall there. Got a piece of it. He's giving it all he's got.
Shoemaker, they're coming up to him through Skyline. He's still ahead of them. And DJ maybe get held up here.
Great opportunity for Chrissy. And he knows this might be it. Going to be coming to the white flag next time by.
Oh, big break for DJ Alessandrini trying to stay in behind the 28.
Oh, he got a good run, though. He managed to get on throttle just that much sooner before Chrissy.
And DJ's going to have a little bit of slipstream as well as he gets past the McLaren.
Chrissy's within a half a second, but you need to be closer than that to take advantage of the slipstream here on Conrad Straight.
He's going to be in hot pursuit here. Flying through the chase, up towards the chase, down through the chase, deep on the brakes. So DJ made a mistake last time through. This Mercedes flying through there.
Has really good mechanical grip. And then into the final corner. Coming back to the white flag, Jack Chrissy within 0.3 of a second. He has been here the whole race. 1 lap to go from Bathurst, Mount Panorama. Battle for the lead is on, while elsewhere there's a battle between Louis Alessi, Marcus Pine for 13th.
And side by side for both these guys down the Conrad Straight. Who's going to win? Someone's got to give by the time they enter the corner.
Oh, that was dicey. Alessi clears Pine before the corner. Kyle Herbst and actually Darian Taggart's on pit lane.
Yeah, I'm
some
not sure
big
why
time
this
damage.
is. Oh, no.
See that right rear corner?
Oh, yeah.
He's had a big hit somewhere.
Oh, nope, never mind. He ran out of gas.
Oh, that too. Well, he's got damage also. Last time in the uphill, Alessandrini leads by 3/10.
Yeah, and he's going to, I don't know really, he's pretty far back behind DJ. He needs to catch up quite a bit more if he wants any chance of making a move down the Conrad Straight.
And he's losing some ground now, half a second back.
I think he just has to hope that DJ gets a little bit too comfortable here and then makes a mistake through the downhill. Jack just sending it through there makes up, actually made quite a bit of ground there through the dipper.
And that battle, while it's fizzling, we do have one heating up here between Mike Leader and Ryan Carwile. Carwile in the McLaren, Leader in the Aston.
And now they go through, up through now Skyline, heading towards Skyline, and then down through the S as they go.
Last time down the hill. The hill is probably an understatement. The mountain.
That is, I mean, it is called Mount Panorama. And speaking of coming down the mountain, here comes DJ Alessandrini and Jack Christie through the chase. They go. The best passing opportunity for Christie has come, and now it is gone. Not able to catch up.
DJ Alessandrini in the 61. He fought off multiple efforts from Jack Christie. He fought off lap traffic. It's 0.4 of a second into the final corner. And in the McLaren 570S, DJ Alessandrini rounds the last turn here at Bathurst Mount Panorama, picks up the checkered flag, and wins round 5 of the DC Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. Christie comes home in second, and then for third, it appears to be James Cathers. How about this, though? Leader and Carwile trading spots in the last couple corners.
Still not done yet. Still swapping for position side by side, heading towards the final braking zone, the last corner. Who's going to give? Here's Carwile going to send it. He's going to tap the 53 out of the way.
And Carwile goes through. Leader drops to 8th. And Ryan Carwile will hang on to 7th place. Kevin Zhu and Chris Harp, 9th and 10th. That will wrap up your top 10 here in this wild race.
And solid drive for Jack Christie. I think you got to give a tip of the hat to him. Kept DJ honest the entire time. Didn't let him run away. DJ had to make sure he didn't make any mistakes because that 6 was there and ready to capitalize.
And Deacon Greenfield, we got to give him some credit for sticking it out in the BMW. This is not the best car in the world. And despite some damage, despite being in a car that might not be the best out there, he's joined us tonight and raced and started in 26th, so up a handful of spots for this number 32.
Solid job there. We'll finish pretty much dead midfield in that BMW.
And after the initial carnage on the opening laps, we actually didn't have a lot. So that worked out pretty well for some of those that were got through the start at least, those that didn't have a bad day immediately. And Kobach and Pax Rolf working their way back to the start-finish line. The last finishers of this race other than Jason Meinhardt in the other BMW. So checkered flag here. Let's have a look at our race results for this one. Being a wild race, we knew it was going to be that way. Alessandrini, though, wins it. Perhaps not a big surprise. Jack Christie, James Cathers, though. How about Cathers up on the podium? Good run for him.
Yeah, on paper, it looks like a typical DJ Alessandrini race, but again, Christie being so close to him the entire way of the race, it wasn't. He never. I think Christie never fell out over a second over DJ the entire time they were fighting. So that was a hard-fought 20 minutes. I'm sure DJ will have something to say about that when we bring him in for some interviews. But yeah, as you mentioned, James Cathers bringing home for Aston Martin in 3rd place with Herbst Montello Hausiel. And Hausiel, I think Hausiel is going to be really annoyed because he got caught in that incident off of turn 1, got early damage, was never quite able to recover.
Well, I know DJ's got another place to be tonight, so let's chat with him while we got the moment. DJ Alessandrini gets it done and had to hold off a charging Jack Christie in the McLaren, which, DJ, that thing is a rocket ship in a straight line. But it looked like Jack was catching you going up the mountain. Take us through your night and holding off that 6.
Yeah, I knew the McLaren was going to be the faster car in a straight line. I think the Mercedes is the faster car overall, like as far as like raw pace. But I hate driving that thing. It just has like a weird diff and whatever. But the McLaren, it's nice to drive a car that drives like a car again, huh?
Well, you looked like you're back in your element winning races again, at least in the GT4 car. But we're actually just kind of surprised at how many different cars we saw tonight. Typically, there's really one car that's an obvious choice, and we saw a lot of everything except for the BMW, which we all expected.
Honestly, the BMW was really quick here. The Porsche was probably the most off pace. I did a couple laps and everything. The Porsche was probably one of the more enjoyable ones to drive, but it was like 3 to 4 tenths off pace. The McLaren and the Mercedes, I think, were about the same speed, and then the BMW was only like a tenth or 2 off. So it was in there in pace. It's just the BMW's not really that much fun to drive. It's kind of really just like mechanical. You're kind of just waiting on the car to do all the things. There's nothing really engaging about it. But if you're just patient, then the lap time just shows up at the end.
Well, it showed up for most of the race for you, holding off Jack. And he seemed like he was gaining in the uphill. So is that something that you think played a factor? Is that maybe the Mercedes had an advantage going up the mountain and just couldn't find a place to pass?
I think just on turn 2, I think the nose on the Mercedes is better, so he gets a little bit of a grab there. And then in the cutting, the Mercedes probably can float a little bit more speed than my car there. I was a little out of like in between gears there, so it was like in the beginning of the race when the tires were nice, I could just roll through third, but then I was kind of like at the bottom end of the power. Toward the end of the race, I would switch to go to second gear, but it was like right at the top. It was a little awkward for gearing. And that corner, the speed you carry out of it leads all the way up to Skyline. You're basically flat until you get to the McPhillamy Park, I think is what it's called.
Yep.
So you're like whatever turn you get out of that left-hander known as the cutting, that's kind of the speed you carry up the whole thing. So I think that's probably what you were seeing.
DJ, pleasure talking with you as always. Congratulations on that strong run, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, thanks guys. See you in a little bit, Kyle.
Hopefully we'll see you there. All right, Finian, it doesn't look like we're going to get anybody else tonight, but final thoughts on Mount Panorama. I like this place. It's a lot of fun to watch. Certainly a challenge for the drivers, as I think they were all expecting, but big fun climbing up the mountain here.
I just love that sim racer thing. I just drove every single car and figure out which one was the fastest. I'm sure the real life drivers would wish they could do that, just change every single car depending on which is faster that particular track that week. But yeah, DJ getting it done on the McLaren, felt it was the fastest car and really was quite a bit faster, but almost had a bit of a challenge from Chrissy. Unfortunately, I kind of wanted to talk to Chrissy, just kind of hear his thoughts, having to pursue DJ the entire time, getting so close so often, but not quite able to get there. But great race overall.
Yeah, super close. Awesome stuff. We'll see you next week. We're back with the GR86 car next week, which I think some people are excited for and some people not so much, but we'll see you next week regardless. Kyle Heyer alongside Finian D'Cunha. We'll see you next week.